What's up, everyone? So, these are a set of videos that I found of professional dating coaches that decided to get out of the industry because of how modern era women are. And I wanted you all to take a look at this because this is really, really important so that you can hold your friends and your family members accountable. So, let's get started.
Hello, this is Rebecca Lynn Pope coming on real quick. You guys know that I have been swamped lately, but I promised I would come on and just share my viewpoints on why women are just many women. I'm not going to say all women, but many women are very, very unrealistic about their standards for men, dating, and marriage. So I'm going to give my opinion on this. And now listen, girls, I'm about to be very raw. I'm about to be.
One of the things that I always thought was interesting, women, particularly older women, they always refer to themselves as girl. Men are niggas, men are all of these things. Uh, but it's always girls because, again, it implies a certain type of innocence. You could have a 30, 40, 50-year-old woman, but then she would still be referred to as a girl. Not a woman, but a girl. That's really interesting, but let's continue.
Be very real. I'm about to just shoot it to you as just straight as I can because I'm hoping that this helps somebody. Because as you girls know, I'm a matchmaker. And for a large part of the end of last
Girls.
year and beginning of this year, I stopped matchmaking. And the reason I stopped matchmaking.
That's probably one of the first problems because all of these grown ass women think that they're young girls and it clouds their judgment and it clouds their decision making because they're carrying about like their 16, 17, 18-year olds, 21-year olds, and they're 35, 40, 45.
Is because I literally was being I can't handle female clients. I was a matchmaker that matched females and I had a few male clients, but predominantly I was matching women. And listen, what.
And that makes sense because remember, in the United States, women greatly outnumber men by millions. So it would only make sense that she being a female dating coach, she would have more female clients.
It was such a valuable lesson for me because what I learned is that the average woman doesn't really want just a good man. She doesn't want a husband. What she's really wanting are these standards or ideas that she has of what a man is supposed to be. But this is nothing what men are. This is not realistic for who men are, how they think, what they value. It's just this preconceived, idea that women have of who men should be. But this is not reality. Okay? So, literally, the standards here that I see consistently in women that stay single, do not get married, and the difference between women and wives is understanding one, that men are not women. He's not going to be your best friend like your best girlfriend. You can't talk to him like that.
And that's a huge, huge, huge point. Don't expect men to be all emotional and wanting to be about his feelings to the point where he's crying on your shoulder. Men generally don't act like that. Men just want peace. You could please us with silence.
They don't talk like that. They don't talk that much. They're not so sensitive and girly the way we are as women.
And that's a major point because, again, in the modern era, we're seeing women that want to be men and they're hoping to find men to play a woman role. Not necessarily with feminine traits, but they want a man in an emasculated set so that they could uh, be on top. They want to be the leader, the female. So generally, men don't operate this way, but you see a lot of Western women especially the social justice warriors, the radical feminists, the feminazis. You see this. This is really common with them, and of course with older women that have a very particular set of expectations. Oftentimes, these expectations are overly high and outrageous, and much of the time, most of the time, unrealistic. And at times, they would even say, I have very high expectations. And these older women, and these are generally women past the age of 28, past the age of 30, it's like they're forgetting the simple facts that not only women greatly outnumber men in the United States by millions, but if you have very high standards, that's probably not of the norm. And if you can eventually find a man that could rise to these standards, he could probably meet the standards of a lot of other women. And that being the case, why would he pick your trifling ass? But let's continue.
So if you're expecting a man to be all super sensitive and so considerate and just so everything like your girlfriends, you're barking up the wrong tree. He's going to hurt your feelings all the time, or else you're going to feel like he doesn't communicate because you're holding these standards like he's a girl.
That's a major point. And what we're seeing today too is a lot of women would say they want a man that communicate, but then when you give them exactly what they want, if you're transparent, if you don't beat around the bush and you're straight to the point, then they get offended. So it's that whole catch-22, you damned if you do, damned if you don't.
I'm sorry. Leave that to your gay guy friends. Or leave that to your bestie guys that talk kind of like girls.
And, these bestie guy friends, similar to what this professional dating coach has said, you know, generally you shouldn't even, if you're wanting a man or if you have a man, you shouldn't have bestie guy friends. These guys that are probably are likely hoping to be with you someday, these beta orbiters, no, you don't keep beta orbiters around. You kick them to the curb. If you're trying to keep a balanced relationship in a decent man, you don't keep beta orbiters about, because that's a recipe for disaster in any situation.
Your man that you're going to marry is not going to be like that, right? The second standard is this. You're comparing good men to, I can't say this, F-boys. I'm just going to say it. You're comparing good men to the men that you've experienced previously who were not ready to be husbands, that you were just dating, messing around with. I mean, literally, there's a distinct difference between marriage material, men who are ready to be husbands, and these F-boys that you've been messing around with in out of these situationships with for years. And so now you have this standard for a man and a husband based on these dudes that have just been playboys, fun, boy toys, whatever you want to call it, girls, okay? You can call it whatever you want. But now you set this standard to say he's supposed.
Why does she refer to women as girls? And it's not just this dating coach. I noticed this with a lot of women and even men. When they talk about women, they always refer to women as girls, but then of course men are men and men are everything else, except for you don't see men referring to other men as boys in a sense when you're talking about data or and dating and relationships and everything. So I thought that was really interesting.
Supposed to look like this. He's supposed to act like that. Oh, you know what? He's too corny. He likes me too much. He texts me too much. Yeah, because the men that you were messing with, you weren't even the only one. They don't text you right back. They don't call you right back because they have eight more just like you. So a man comes along that is crazy about you and is interested in you, and I'm sorry to say, you have friend zoned The men that really you're compatible with, the men that would make a wonderful husband.
And this is really common because there were countless times where I've spoken to women that friend zone a guy because they said, oh, he was too boring, or something along those lines. And, here's a guy that's a perfect match, a perfect candidate, looking for a family. And he's looking for almost everything this woman could be looking for, except they would discredit him and friend zone him on the account that he's too boring or something else along those lines. And this is further proof that uh, women seek chaos.
A lot of you have friend zoned the good dude who's ready to be a husband and a father and give you some pretty babies. Because the other thing is men do not look like us. Let me be clear about this. We are the fairer sex. God created us to be beautiful, not men. If you get a pretty boy and they super fine and they in the mirror more than you, honey, rest assured, he probably got some habits that go along with that. He needs all the attention from all the women because he likes to feel like he's it. And if he's actually bigger than you, you got a problem. But the problem is you looking at visuals and thinking that men are supposed to look like us or be just as gorgeous as us.
Not only that, but he has to be 6 foot taller. He has to earn a certain amount of money, yada, yada, yada. When you start scratching away with all of these random and unrealistic expectations, I mean, you're talking about a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a percent. And then you're really in for it because you're forgetting the simple fact that you're competing with other women who are around these men. Like I said earlier, if he can meet your high and unrealistic expectations, he can meet a lot of other women. And the likelihood that he's going to want your old and trifling ass is pretty slim to none.
No, that's not how God created this whole scenario. You are the fairer sex. You're the beautiful one. You're the gorgeous one. You're the one that men go to war over. You're the one that men literally will kill for. You're the one that they're out here trying to make all this money to impress you, to get you. Quit looking at men. Is he 6'2"? Is he look like Boris Kodjoe or Idris Elba or Michael Ealy? Do you know the percentages of men? This is what I just would die to say to my matchmaking clients and the people that would come in for consultations because they want to be matched. And they're coming to me. I'm sitting here just being a good woman. So I'm thinking these women just want to be married. These women just want a good man. Nah, boo, that's not what they wanted. What they want is if I'm going to pay this money, I want me a Michael Ealy. I want me a Boris Kodjoe. Well, look, boo, Boris Kodjoe's married. Last time I checked, Idris Elba's taken. These men are such a small percentage of the population. Do you guys understand that for a man to be over 6'2" is less than 3% of the population? Wow. And we're talking all men around the world, less than 3% of the population. Now you take out the gay guys and you take out the guys that are not black or whatever race specific that you prefer your husband to be, and you take out the men that are broke, and you take out the players, the men who are just not ready and who are not ready to get married, aren't even looking for a wife, don't want that responsibility yet. Think about these numbers. Less than 3%. Less than 14% of the entire American male population is over 6 foot. Less than 14%. And that's all the married men and the men in prison. All of them, girls. So you're sitting around here like, oh, he's got to be 6 foot and he's got to look like this and he's got to make 6 figures or 7 figures. When you start at just height alone, do you hear the percentage really that I just gave you on just height?
Crazy.
Just height. And if you add in what he looks like looking like Idris and making money like this and that, honey, look, you looking for the come up for real because I don't know where he's at. I was matchmaking, I would be like, man, I would go find these incredible men. And they would be like, oh, I would never date him. I'm like, I just went and found a freaking pilot, ex-Falcons player. Are you serious? but he don't look. It's like he's gotta be perfect. But you're not perfect. You got issues and unresolved issues, and you got a temper, and you're bossy and you're controlling, and men don't even like to be around you long term. You run everybody away. You think you're so much the ish that you're bougie and vain and stuck up.
And what did I say earlier? What did I say earlier? If you have crazy and unrealistic expectations, and there's a guy out there that can meet your expectations, he's probably not going to want to be with your trifling ass. And that's really, really, really interesting because, you know, I wonder if these created, manifested, random, unrealistic expectations is basically to hide behind just how terrible you are. Because it can be. I can't find a man that's on my level, blah, 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 blah. The reality is you're probably just a terrible person and you hide behind these unrealistic expectations because you know no man is going to want you either way, even an average guy, even a below average guy. Because we do know that most women skip over average men. Most women skip over below average men. And of course, for the not all's signs, I'm not referring to not all. In a general sense, most women aim for the top 10% of men. And oftentimes average and below average men are skipped over. But yeah, it's something to really think about if you're exactly what this professional matchmaker is thinking, because, you know, this is becoming a big issue and it needs more attention. But let's continue.
And men don't like it. And you wonder why you can't keep a man. You wonder why nobody wants to be around you. Sweetheart, listen. Get nice. Be sweet. Men are simple creatures.
Yeah.
They're simple. But your standards are standardizing you right out of the game. Everybody else is getting married. Everybody else is having babies. But you steady like, oh, I'm not settling. I'm not going to settle. I know what I deserve. And you know, even...
And that's one of the other things that really get me every time. I know my worth. I hear so many women say that on podcasts, on videos, and in person. I know my worth. But then when you try to have them articulate their worth, then they try to articulate it as their presence alone should be enough. It's that, well, I bring me to the table type deal. And no, your presence alone is not enough because what you bring is very average and standard that all women would bring. So you just saying I bring me, or just having this weird notion that your presence alone is enough, lady, you're out of your mind and you probably need to seek therapy. But let's continue.
When I post those type of memes, I'm like, you know what? There's some real stuck up women right now that are about to read this, and it's going to reinforce literally their false standards, their ridiculous standards. You know what? I'm not gonna settle. But in the meantime, boo, you're not even half the things that you have on your list as requirements for a man. You're not even half those things. But you want that in a man. And you don't want to build with anybody. You don't want to build a life together.
Oh, hell no. You'd be shocked to find that you'd be all on the finish line, all at the finish line.
Listen.
What did Mike Jones say? Back then, you didn't want me, now I'm hot. You all on me?
Honey, you better find yourself a Build-A-Bear. You need to find yourself a Build-A-Boo. Okay, somebody that meets some requirements of who you want in character, your values, integrity.
And that's something else too. You hear a lot of women that they say things along the lines of, "Oh, it's not aligned with my values, my values." It's going to be very difficult to find a man who's going to conform to your values. If anything, you're going to have to conform to his values, not the other way around. Men don't get out here, conquer the goddamn world to then come home, be emasculated, and conform to your values. That's not how men operate.
Right? Lifestyle, goals, vision. Where are you two going together? Purpose, passion. Somebody when I made this post, there everybody went off on it, said, what did you compromise on when it came to Mr. Pope? What did you compromise on? Listen, girls, I'm writing it in my book right now. I came from dating Mr. Gorgeous. I came from dating Mr. Trainer. I came from dating Mr. Baller. I was flying here and doing this and that. And at the end of the day, all of them were players. They were F-boys. I know I'm not supposed to say that word, but I don't have another word for it.
And that's an interesting point, because that goes to show you that this professional matchmaker, she knew that she wasn't the only woman. And she knew that these men, these playboys, they had other women around them. And these are the women that she would have to compete with.
Y'all want to turn hoes into husbands the same way men want to turn hoes into housewives. And that's just not how it works. Because until a man is ready, he is not going to choose you. It doesn't matter how you put it down in the bedroom. It doesn't matter what kind of values. It doesn't matter how big your butt is and what you look like. Until a man is ready, he is not settling down. And literally, I'm literally writing this. So my compromises came because I had these standards, just like most of you, that were way up here because I had all these experiences that created an appetite. It created a false standard in my life of what I thought I deserved or what I thought I needed. But yet it was a false standard because none of them were men of God.
And that's really interesting too. You see a lot of women these days, they say what they deserve. And I always had this interesting how do you deserve someone else's things? You deserve a man's things. You deserve a rich man, blah, blah, blah. What makes you deserving of someone else's things? What makes you deserving of that kind and caliber of man? And again, your presence alone is not enough.
None of them were Carrie Pope. None of them literally had their values. They weren't good husbands and fathers and brothers. They don't take care of their mama. Literally, these men lacked all the values that really matter in a marriage. A husband is totally different than dudes you date out here, these dudes that are just playing around. A husband is a totally different animal.
And I'm going to stop this right here, and I'm going to go to another professional matchmaker that also discussed this. Here we go.
Women's expectations are ridiculous. And there's no pleasing. Now, this is not all. So I'm going on years of data that I've collected. And at the end of the day, it can be challenging working with women with not the right expectation. Everybody wants to come to me because they want this high 6, 7, 8-figure dude, right?
Why do they want him?
Because of the lifestyle, because what they're looking at is he matched my fly, meaning he has the money that I have, he has the things that I have, or he can, he's...
Or he can facilitate that. But in a situation like that, she's forgetting the fact that if he's an entertainer, sports athlete, that's another world. And she's not going to be the only woman. So
that guy.
She's going to have to accept
pause you.
that.
We'll come back to that. You got to have a certain kind of gravitas to deal with a high earning man, because most of the time these high earning men, they don't have a lot of high earning time.
Yes,
they don't.
Yes,
they're busy. They're working. It's tough. And so and if you don't have nothing significant going on for yourself, that will be the worst decision that you have made in your chocolate life.
Thank you.
Aside from just the whole relationship piece, I know we as men, we have a lot of desires and we have a lot of wants. But the comparison thing to me that I see a lot of women having, because a man can do it, we should be able to do it as well.
Yeah, I'm a woman that believes in double.
That messes me up a little bit, because I'm like,
I get it.
I don't think so. And is it hypocritical? Probably so. Probably
But
so.
I'm okay with double standards.
Say more.
I'm okay with double standards because the double standards allow y'all to do more for us than we do for you. So I'm okay with double standards.
I love it. I love it.
I'm okay with it because here's the deal. I don't want to be able to just, I mean, I can go sleep with whoever I want to. I can do that. But women have fought for sexual freeness, openness for years. And at the end of the day,
And she's absolutely right. Most men, probably 100%, that wanted to smash, they'll have no problem with smashing.
even as how free you are, dude still is like, I don't want my girl out there like that. We've tried to fight that fight. It just ain't changing. And it's just like, it's not going to change that we want y'all to take care of us. Double standard. I don't care. I'm okay with it because it put more on y'all to do than me to do. If you mean the only double standard is I'm going to be looked at crazy if I go sleep with a bunch of dudes, but yet the other standard is you should be able to protect and provide for me, I'll take that. I know how to choose my battles. I don't need to feel as though it has to be equal. I don't care about that. I am 100% okay with double standards because as the woman, if you smart, you get more with the double standard that we have on y'all than y'all have on us.
People, you don't hear people talking like this. Oh, you definitely women. You don't hear women talking like this. This is good.
Because they're not looking at what they're actually gaining.
But the woman today,
And what they're asking of a man, they gain more. Men almost always get the short end of the stick in all relationships. Men are the providers, the protector, they're the safety, they're the income, they're the long-standing stability. I mean, they bring so much. And a lot of women, they don't really understand it. They can't grasp it, specifically Western women, and it's causing a lot of women to be single.
is different. I mean, she's extremely different, and I'm not on the whole. Maybe I'm a part of the manosphere, but I'm not a part of the manosphere that I'm seeing online.
Yeah.
It's just
That's a lot of boy stuff.
They be doing too much.
That's a lot of male stuff, not man stuff.
Yeah. I think
Because they exile women. I'm like, so now I'm looking at you crazy. You talking about exiling women.
but women be exiling men too. It's like it's that both thing. But I'm saying to you that what I feel like is the louder you are and the harder you come at a pause, nigga. Damn. Okay. Woo. That will not see the light of day. That will not see the light of day.
Not the harder you come.
The harder you come. No. Okay. So I feel like the harder your approach is towards either sex, that's how your following is gonna really follow you. So like if you cussing them out, then they'll be like, yeah, because a lot of people out here are hurt.
Yes.
A lot of hurt men.
Yes.
A lot of hurt women.
Yes.
And if they feel like you are punching that person in the face and you're being disrespectful and you're being rude to them, get them. I got you. I rocks with you.
Yes, I always say you will always know the character of a leader by their followers.